Yay, it's Christmas Eve! Well, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I haven't 100% decided when this one's going up yet, but it's going to be one of those two. Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I'm leaning more towards Christmas Eve. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whichever one you want. There you go. Saturnalia, I think. Solstice, whatever. Okay, so I'm very happy because I'm going to talk about Mickey's House of Mouse. Specifically, Mickey's Magical Christmas snowed in at the House of Mouse. Okay, so a lot of you have heard me mention this before if you've watched the other Disney videos that I've done. That was basically anything from Snow White all the way up through, I believe it's Atlantis, the Lost Empire. All the way through those movies, I think at various points in time I mentioned there's this thing called House of Mouse. So, the basic premise of House of Mouse is that so this ran from I think 1999 to 2001, 2002-ish, somewhere in that range. I don't have exact dates on it, but we have that because this movie, Mickey's Magical Christmas, Snowed Into the House of Mouse, came out in 2001, at the tail end of 2001. And basically it's kind of like a clip show movie, but there are new things in it, and there's a storyline through the whole thing, of course. So the basic premise for Mickey's House of Mouse is that Mickey and Donald both own 50% of this kind of I keep referring to it as a nightclub. It's more of a dinner theater type thing because it's it's in this heart of downtown Toontown, as it's said in the beginning, in the introduction of it. And Mickey is the host on stage, cueing stuff between cartoons, throwing it over to the band, which in the case for House of Mouse are Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and various incarnations of the Quack Street Boys, and several other things that are references to other 90s and early 2000s pop boy bands, which is funny. Because you get to see the boys having different hairstyles or different outfits and everything like that. And if I remember correctly, there's a whole episode that's the boys arguing over who's the leader of the band type of thing. So it's just kind of interesting watching that, and I just find that funny. And then Mickey, and then Donald is the greeter at the front door for all of the guests that are coming in, and Daisy is the hostess type thing. She's the one that makes sure, takes care of the front desk, kind of handles all the reservations and seating and everything like that. And Minnie is kind of the stage manager. She's backstage saying, okay, Mickey, you're on in 3, 2, blah blah blah, making sure everything's running smoothly backstage and everything, and on stage. And then Goofy is the head waiter, and then Max is the valet parking. So that's the basic premise of the show. There's a few other additional characters that are there that are from Disney history and everything. All the other waiters are the penguins from Mary Poppins, and the cleaning staff are the brooms from Fantasia, which is just funny. I don't remember if we get an exact answer on who the chef is, but I don't remember if that's ever prevalent in an episode. But we have Clarabelle Cow, who is just an older Disney character that they modernize, and she's this gossip columnist type thing. And then we have Horace Horsecollar, again, older Disney character type thing, and he's in charge of managing, rolling the cartoons when it's time, and taking care of the lights and sound and everything like that. So that's there, of course. And kind of the quote-unquote villain for most of the series is Pete, who is, of course, kind of this, he's the one who, in Goof Troop, he's Goofy's quote-unquote best friend, and his son PJ is Max's best friend. I don't think we ever see PJ in the series, unfortunately. I don't think if we ever see any of Pete's family in the series. But Pete is this main antagonist, and he's the owner of the building. And the whole first episode, the pilot episode, is basically just plot of Pete trying to find a reason to shut down the House of Mouse for whatever reason. I have no idea. But he wants to shut down the House of Mouse. And, so he's like, having to deal with all that and everything. Like, it's, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Daisy, and, Minnie, and, all of them are like, we have to keep the show going and everything. And like, they always they always stop Pete's plans, foil them, or, there's something else that happens. And I just love how they like put that into the series and everything. And like, the other thing that I love is like, and I mentioned this before, is that in the audience, so many times you see so many different characters from throughout of Disney's history, from all the way, as I said, from like Snow White all the way up through, Atlantis: The Lost Empire, because those were all the movies that were out at that point in time. And, so I just find that so fun that it's just like, well, let's see how many Disney characters we can fit into the background of this shot. Let's see how many characters we can put into the audience. There's like staples, like there's almost always like at least one Disney princess in the audience, Cinderella or Belle or Jasmine or Ariel or Aurora or Snow White or Mulan or Pocahontas. There's like so many of them there throughout the, almost every episode you see, I think, at least one Disney princess. And so we have like all those fun things, it's like there's still like the character things that happen, and of course like Goofy is still clumsy, but he's also a really good waiter. Like everybody always gets the service that they need at their tables and everything. And like Pluto's there, and like he's running around like helping Minnie with like making sure that Mickey's on time, and like running around to like get things. It's just fun watching. And like there's so many Disney cameos throughout the whole thing, and like there's like a joke in one of the episodes where it's like, oh no, the crowd is turning ugly. And it's like the queen, the wicked queen from Snow White, or the evil queen from Snow White, like changes into her hag form, and then like Beast changes from like his prince form into his, beastly form, and then like Maleficent changes from like her regular form into her giant dragon form. And it's just like, yeah, no, that works. So like it's just this whole fun thing. And like there's like, inside Disney jokes and everything like that, and I just love it. And like there's so many references to like just so many things throughout Disney history. But the premise for Snowed Into the House of Mouse is pretty much what it says. It's like Christmas Eve at the House of Mouse. They just finished having like this big show and everything, and it another successful night, and everybody's all getting ready to leave. And then like, oh, well, we can't leave. Why? Because we're all snowed in. Like Mickey's like, oh, it's not that bad. And he looks outside, and it's like, there's like this much of like the window available because like it's all covered up with snow, everything outside. And like you pan through and you look at everybody there. Like, first of all, you see Genie in the audience. I'm pretty sure Genie, even he's, no longer phenomenal cosmic power. He's semi-phenomenal, nearly cosmic powers. I'm sure he can still like blow away all the snow and like let everybody get home safely. Or you have, Hades there, who's like a god, and he can control fire. And I'm sure that he, would be able to like get everybody home. So there's like different things where it's just like, you have so many different powerful characters in the background. Why don't you have them send everybody home? But it's just like, okay, well, we're just, Mickey's like, okay, well, we're just going to have like the best Christmas Eve here, free of charge and everything. Everybody can stay for the party and everything because, they want to keep everybody happy and safe and such. And Donald is kind of being this, grumpy thing, and he's just like really not happy about Christmas. He just doesn't have the Christmas spirit and everything at that time. And like he says, humbug. And at one point, like Timon and Pumbaa are in the audience, and Timon's like, did he say bug? I'll have what he's having. And Pumbaa's like, Timon, humbug? I don't think humbug is something you eat. I think it's a term when you say when you don't have any Christmas spirit. And then like everybody glares at Donald because they're angry at him. And so it's just like, well, how about we keep the festivities going? And then like they find like a bunch of like old like Christmas special things to watch, or like, holiday special type things. And they're like, okay, well, let's try to make everybody happy and comfy and everything. And what ends up happening is, they watch one little special that is called Donald on Ice. And basically just the whole premise of the episode is like, Donald, of course, just wants to have a nice day skating. And then we have Huey, Dewey, and Louie there, and like they're trying to enter the snowman contest, and we see them make this snowman in a fun way. And then like the snowman gets destroyed because of Donald, and then like the boys want their revenge, so they make this crack in the ice, and somehow the crack is like sentient because it literally like chases Donald around, even like off the ice, and like cracks through the snow, cracks through a rock, cracks through a bunch of barrels, so many other things that it does, and like cracks up a tree. Literally, like the crack goes up the tree and like splits the tree in half. And like Donald's just like running around, and like he ends up running into this cave that says, beware abominable snowman. And the snowman like roars at Donald and scares him, and then like the crack shows up, and then the snowman roars at the crack, and the crack is just like slink, slink, slinks away. I'm like, how scary are you to scare a sentient crack? How does that work? And like Donald gets chased by the snowman, and then the snowman gets like dropped up into the snowman building contest, and it wins. And then it gets like a pair of ice skates for its prize, which is just funny. And then we cut back, and everybody's like still happy at every relaxing and everything except for Donald. And then Ludwig von Drake comes out. Now he's just like this kind of ish like mad scientist type duck character that has popped up throughout like different Disney franchises at times, usually like related to DuckTales, because he is a duck. Sometimes he's like a friend of Scrooge, or like occasionally Scrooge will like invest in his technology. I don't know how to describe it, but he's like trying to explain the science of Santa, and all these possibilities of like traveling around the world so quickly. So he has a sleigh that is like Santa's sleigh, and then like a future version of himself shows up, and then like they ride off in the sleigh with like a cookie jar, which is just funny. But like they're still not having a very good time and everything. Well, everybody else is having a good time. Donald is still not. He's still very grumpy and everything, because like everybody's trying to cheer him up and everything. So they're like, well, what is Minnie's like, well, why don't we show some clips about like what everybody else wants for Christmas? And what happens is, we have this moment where it's called like Mickey on the Street. So some of the movie is just like clips from the actual show. Like I'm sure multiple times when you look into the audience, at times it's multiple just like different clips from different shows where you see the audience like smiling and clapping and everything and cheering and everything. So some of that's like reused footage, and then there's like a few other bits here and there that are just like reused footage, which is fine. I personally don't have a problem with that. But it's just like fun watching the characters interact with each other anyway. And like we still see like the villains, because like as I mentioned, like Hades is there, and like we see Jafar, and we see Captain Hook in the audience. I don't think we see Scar, but we see like these other ones there in the audience, and like Jafar is literally sitting with like Genie and Abu, and like not having any problem whatsoever with that. So it's just kind of funny watching that. And one of the other things that happens is, when Mickey's like, well, let's see what everybody what everybody wants for Christmas, and different ones are jokes, like Ursula wants Mickey's voice, Jafar wants the lamp, Goofy is at one point, I just want my 2 front teeth. He still has his 2 front teeth, because Goofy. And there's all these other ones, and then like the one of them is like Cusco from Emperor's New Groove, and he's just like, I wish I wasn't a stupid llama anymore. And then when it comes to like, then they get to like Beast and Belle, and like they're there, and he's just like, Beast is like, what do I want for Christmas? I wish that everyone would find the real beauty inside of themselves, type of thing, their inner beauty and everything. It's just like, aw. And then we cut like on stage, and like everybody else is like saying other things that they want for Christmas, like or like what they're thankful for at one point. And like Cinderella is thankful for like nice mice, friendly mice who make nice evening wear, and just like all these other things. Like Mushu comes up on stage, and he's like, I'd like to thank the ancestors and Mulan, and like it's just funny. And like, and then we have like the Mad Hatter pops up on stage, and he's like, the one thing I'm thankful for most is my hat. And it's just like all hats, in fact, and like rattles off a bunch of different hats and everything. So that's just fun. He's like jumping around the room, which is just funny. And then one of the things that happens is they show this next cartoon, which is, Pluto's Christmas Tree, which is an older cartoon from 1952, which is basically just like, it's like Donald and Pluto, or sorry, Mickey and Pluto, and then like Chip and Dale are in it. And like this is like, Mickey and Pluto are going out, and getting they have to get a Christmas tree, and the tree ends up having, ends up being like Chip and Dale's Christmas tree, and like they end up, getting brought into the house, and like they cause so much chaos and problems for Pluto and everything, that everything gets destroyed. And then it's like we see the chipmunks in the tree, and Mickey's like, we have chipmunks in our tree, and Pluto's just like, yes, Mickey, I know. I was chasing them around the house and you thought I was crazy, type of thing. So that's just kind of fun watching that. And then they do a version of the Nutcracker story that, oh wait, no. Yeah, they do, is this when they do the Nutcracker? Well, they do like 4 or 5 different like specials or like shorts or cartoons throughout this. And another one they do is Mickey's Christmas Chaos, which was just from 2000, so it was a much newer Christmas thing, and it's like Mickey and Pluto and Mickey and Pluto like getting their house all decorated for Christmas and everything, and like having so many lights that it like blows out the power grid, which is just kind of fun to watch. And then they go into the Nutcracker, which I mentioned before when I did the Nutcracker video, or has been mentioned, will been mentioned, somewhere in that range, depending on like how this lands when I record stuff and post stuff. But Mickey and so there's the whole Nutcracker themed one, which is Minnie as Clara, and Ludwig von Drake, who's got Papa Drosselmeyer, and of course Mickey has the Nutcracker, and Donald as the Mouse King, which he doesn't want to be the Mouse King, and then like Goofy pops in randomly, and like it's narrated by John Cleese, and like John Cleese is like interacting with the story, which I love. I'd be like, I just want to find John Cleese and be like, okay, how did they get you to do Disney's the Mickey Mouse Nutcracker? Because did they just tell you that you just get to like comment on the story itself and like interact with the characters to a degree, and then did you just take it, or like did they still have to like pay you? I mean, like they obviously paid you for it, but like how did they get you to do it? Because I love it, and it's just like so funny. I mean, like he's not swearing or saying anything bad in it, but he's just like he keeps like tricking Donald. And like all of the characters can like hear the narration that he's doing at times, which is just so funny. And I advise trying to go watch it. I've looked. I don't know if it is on Disney Plus. I know that none of the House of Mouse stuff is on Disney Plus, which makes me really sad. And I really hope eventually they do put House of Mouse on Disney Plus, because then I will happily watch through the whole thing again. But I know that they have some bits that are up there. Like some of these cartoons you might be able to find, because I know they had like a series that was called like Mickey Mouse Works, which are all of these different the shorts and such like that they did. And the Nutcracker one that was from 1991 that they did with Mickey and Minnie and everything, like I mentioned, that one was a Mickey Mouse Works one, and I don't know if that one was like, if that one is on Disney Plus. I don't know. I could be wrong. I haven't looked. But they get, after everything's all finished with like the Nutcracker one, Donald is still very grumpy about everything and not happy, and just like, nope, no Christmas spirit, no. So Mickey's sad, and like he kind of gives up, and he goes up to the roof of the the building and everything. And it kind of looks like the snow stopped to a degree. But like he goes up to the top of the building, and he's like sad and looking around, and like Jiminy Cricket shows up, and he's like, Jiminy's popped up a fair amount. Like Pinocchio has popped up several times. Like Stromboli pops up in this special. Geppetto's been in the background before. I think we've seen like the fox, and the fox or whatever he's called, the fox, and then the cat and everything. We see Monstro in like one episode at some point. But like, so there's all those different references to it and everything. But what ends up happening is, Mickey is just like, I just wish that I could help my best friend Donald have a good Christmas too. And, And of course, Jiminy Cricket's like, well, how about you make a wish on the wishing star? And that'll, make a wish on the wishing star, and, your wish will come true and everything. And, Mickey's wish, of course, because he's Mickey, is not a selfish wish. He just wishes that, everyone would have a happy Christmas, including Donald. And, he makes the wish, and then, like, the star, like, answers the wish by, like, sending him down this, like, beautiful, like, star ornament to, like, put on top of the tree. And, Mickey goes in and he, like, tells Donald, he was like, I want my best friend to put the star on top of the tree. And, that makes, Donald really happy, and he takes the star and he, puts it on the tree, and then, like, the tree grows because of the magic, and, like all the garland around the place, like, turns to gold garland and, like, spreads all the way throughout the building more, like, pops, like, changes Jafar's, snake staff into, like, a candy cane, and, like, changes a bunch of other funny stuff all over the place. Like, it goes around, and, like, they have, like, the mirror, the magic mirror from Snow White, like, in their entry hall. And, they ask it questions at times because it can answer people's questions. And, like, it pops, like, a Santa hat onto that. And, it's just fun. And I couldn't really find that many really good quality images from it. So I apologize again if there's not that many, not that many, good screenshots on this one. Sorry. But just go look at House of Mouse and you'll find stuff. And, like, that makes just, like, everybody's, like, much happier and everything. And, it's just, like, so, everybody's so much happier, and, like, Donald's so much happier and everything. And then they watch, like, one more, Christmas special, and that is Mickey's Christmas Carol, which initially came out in 1983 is when that one originally came out. And, of course, this one is very much the concept of, it's like all of these different Disney characters in the background, obviously, as, so many different characters in a Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, which, of course, has, Ebenezer Scrooge is, of course, played by Scrooge McDuck, which is, of course, fun because, of course, Scrooge McDuck is based on Ebenezer Scrooge and everything. And, when you see them walking around, we see all these different, like, Disney characters in the background. Like, at one point you see, like, the Big Bad Wolf and, like, the three little pigs, like, there in the background. And, like, the Big Bad Wolf is, like, dressed as Santa, like, ringing the bell, trying to get, people to donate. Of course, Scrooge doesn't want to donate to anyone, of course. And, of course, we see, Bob Cratchit is, of course, played by Mickey, because, of course. And, Donald, Donald plays, like, the nephew Fred, Scrooge's nephew Fred, and, like, Mickey, Cratchit wanted, half a day off for Christmas and everything. And, Scrooge is like, well, that's fine, but I'm going to, like, dock you, like, half a day's pay and everything. And, because then, like, different variations of, like, either Cratchit wants the whole day off or only half the day off or whatever. But, in this case, it's half the day off. And, what ends up happening is, Donald plays, like, Fred, who's, like, Scrooge's nephew and everything. And then we have, when they get to, like, the people that are coming in looking for donations and everything for the poor, we have Rat and Mole that are from, I know this one, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. We see them there, and, like, they're kind of trying to collect stuff, and, like, Scrooge, like, shoos them out and everything. And, we see all of this stuff. And then, of course, when, Cratchit leaves and heads off to go and have Christmas and everything for the night. And, and then, Scrooge goes home, of course. And, like, in regards to, like, Jacob Marley is played by Goofy, which is just funny. Because, like, they get most of the cast in here. And, like, Goofy is Jacob Marley and everything when, Scrooge has him, like, appear before him. And, Goofy, of course, still gives him the warning of, you will be visited by 3 ghosts, and, you'll be, unless you change, you'll be forced to walk to the earth with chains that are heavier than me forever, for, chains for an eternity, maybe even longer. Like, what's longer than an eternity? It's Goofy. And, like, they go through all of that and everything, and then, like, the first ghost that shows up is, of course, okay, well, side note, Goofy is still clumsy because, like, he comes in and he, like, trips over a cane. It's like, you're a ghost and you tripped over a cane. And then he, like, falls downstairs at one point when he's a ghost. So, yeah. And that's just funny. And, The first ghost that shows up is, the ghost of Christmas Past, who in this case is played by Jiminy Cricket. And he hops up into Scrooge's room and everything when it's time. And like he has an actual badge that says like Ghost of Christmas, official Ghost of Christmas Past type of thing, which is funny. Um, and like he starts showing Scrooge, scenes from his past. In the case of this one, it's we just skip right to the Fezziwig party, and the Fezziwig is played by Mr. Toad from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and we have Isabel, who is played by Daisy in this case. And they're in love. This is where we get to see them fall in love. And then what ends up happening is, of course, they cut ahead to the next a different Christmas, and it's Isabel, trying to plead with Scrooge to still, continue, have their engagement and get married and everything, but he's, become too obsessed with his money and everything. So we have that, and then we cut to the ghost of Christmas Present, who in this case is played by Willie the Giant, who I don't remember the exact name of like the cartoon that he originated from, but there's like I think there's a Mickey Mouse short at some point where like he has to go and defeat a giant, and it's like this giant. So it's like this guy shows up and he's like huge and everything, and he's like he's like chased. Scrooge is like trying to run away from him, of course, and like he keeps grabbing him and everything. And then like they go out of Scrooge's house, and like the giant like puts Scrooge like in his like pocket to in his like robe pocket or something like that, which is just funny. And they go to the certain house that they're looking for, which is of course Bob Cratchit's house, which is where we find Mickey and Bob Cratchit, of course, and like his wife, who is of course played by Minnie, and of course their son Tiny Tim, who in the context of the movie is played by Morty Fieldmouse. And then they have like their other children, of course, that are there. This is one of the instances where we do see Mickey and Minnie married. As I mentioned, there's not really that many instances where we see Mickey and Minnie portrayed as a married couple. And if they ever are usually portrayed as a married couple, it's like this, where it's like a special setup where they're setting it up this way, or where it's like a side movie where it's like a plot, and they end up getting married at like the end of the movie. But like officially in Disney canon, Mickey and Minnie are not married. And I stated this before: Donald, Mickey, Daisy, and Minnie are not going to wait around forever. You're going to want to propose soon, guys, eventually. And of course, this is where Scrooge sees Tiny Tim and everything, and the way that they do it for the Disney one, and of course for the Christmas Carol, is they kind of speed up Scrooge's changing a little bit. Whereas in like the Muppet Christmas Carol one that I reviewed a little while ago, with that one we see Scrooge taking a little bit more. It goes down much more the serious side of things at times. I mean, it still touches on the same basic points, but in this case, they kind of speed it up a little bit for the, Mickey's Christmas Carol. And then, we cut to where we have the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. And, it's still this, hooded figure and everything, and they're in the graveyard. And, they're still in the, they're back in the, they're in the graveyard. And, Scrooge sees, like, the Cratchits up on the hill and everything, and like they're leaving the cane at one of the graves and everything. Then they leave, and like he realizes that that's for Tiny Tim, and then they see these two weasels that are the grave diggers, and the two weasels are from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. So there's so many different references in this to other different Disney characters and other different Disney media, which I love. And what ends up happening is, of course, they get to the grave, and Scrooge kind of gets knocked into the grave when he sees that it's his name, and then like the Ghost of Christmas Past is revealed, and it's like it's Pete. I'm like, well, I mean, like I don't know who else you would have used for it at the time, so they used Pete. And Scrooge, of course, swears that he's going to change and everything. Like flames burst out of the coffin that he's trying to that he's falling into. And we cut to the next morning, and he's like, I will change, I will be better, and blah 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 blah. And he dashes out and he gets like a bunch of gifts and toys and food and everything to take to the Cratchits. And he shows up at the Cratchits and he's like trying to he's like trying to get trying to make Cratchit think that he's still angry at him and everything. It was like, you didn't show up to work today or whatever, and trying to do that. And of course, Tiny Tim like sees the toys in the bag and he like pops it open. It was like, he brought toys. And then Scrooge like apologizing. He's like, yeah, I brought toys, and I'm gonna give you a raise, Bob, and I'm gonna make you a partner and everything, and blah 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 blah. So it still pays off in the end. Of course, Scrooge supposedly is going to end up becoming like a second father to Tiny Tim and to the other children, the other children that the Mickey and Minnie have, Martha and Peter, who are the the boy and the girl, the other younger mice that we see there. And of course, Tiny Tim is God bless us everyone, and so we see all of that fun stuff, which is just fun. So it's, a great thing to make you go, yay. And that was one of the other things that I loved about what they did with House of Mouse is that, you use the context of the show of this way of like introducing kids to like older versions of the characters of, playing shorts that like in actuality they may never see, where it's just like, oh, well, we're going to show you like a Mickey short from like 1952. And then like, we're going to show you like some other shorts from, stuff from the 90s that's newer stuff. There was like reoccurring bits here and there throughout it, throughout the course of the series that they did for like reoccurring cartoons and gags and stuff. And, we see all of these other characters or all of these other, shorts that they play, which I just find so fun that they just like reference back to these things. And then we cut back to the House of Mouse after the the Christmas Carol one is finished, and then this is when we have everybody is so happy, and they sing the song The Best Christmas of All, which involves like just basically everybody singing. All of the guests are singing, and Mickey and Donald and Daisy and Goofy and Minnie and Max and everything, like everybody's singing and just having a fun time. Like all the different guests are singing along with it, and fun moments like that. And like we see like Hook and Hades and Jafar like all singing together, which is just funny. And it's like we see all the different individual characters singing at times, and they sing the song. And then, Mickey tells the viewers, and, everybody have a Merry Christmas. And then we have, like, Tinkerbell show up, and she, like, pops out of it, the way that she would appear at the beginning of, Wonderful World of Disney, and, like, pops in and then, like, uses her wand to, fade out. And pretty much, again, it's just, like, insert names of the people for the cast who were playing the current Disney characters at that time and everything. I know in the cases of, like, the audience at times for certain characters, unless they needed the characters to say like new lines, they would sometimes just use, like archive audio of the different characters. And I just love the fact that I just like, well, let's just have a bunch of the different Disney characters like have to interact with each other. And how can we pull that off? Well, they kind of did that in Roger Rabbit, and they had Toontown there. So let's do that. Actually, side note, I don't know if we ever see like Roger Rabbit or Jessica Rabbit in this series. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I don't think we do. I could be wrong on that, but it's been so long. At some point, I will do a Who Framed Roger Rabbit review. We'll see when I do that, but at some point I will, because that's another one of my favorite Disney movies, for many reasons. But so it's the whole movie is just like some of it's clip stuff from like various episodes that they just like cut together. Other parts, it's like certain things where it's like where you see like the Christmas decorations or where it's stuff for the plot, like we see that's like new animation that they did for it and everything, which is just kind of fun to see. And I just love seeing all the characters interact with each other. And as I say, I just love the House of Mouse in general, which is of course so fun to deal with. I hope that Disney puts it on Disney Plus at some point in time, because that would make me so happy. So happy. Um, but that's pretty much what I have for this video. You know, I I loved House of Mouse, and I love Mickey Snowden at the House of Mouse. I just find it so fun to watch and listen to, and like the song at the end, "The Best Christmas of All," is just really fun to listen to. And like, I'm sitting there singing along with it when I watched this yesterday, when I watched the movie yesterday, for because it's like I like to watch them before I do the review on them, just so I have it fairly fresh enough in my mind. So I love doing that. So that's what I have. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I hope you have a happy and safe holiday season. Bye! Gee, thanks for letting us share our Christmas spirit with you. Merry Christmas, everybody!